Saw a photo of you the other day, Bates.
Oh, I'm always worried when I hear that. Of what?
Of you
Doing?
on a bike.
Yes.
Pumping out the Ks.
Well, I think in the photo I wasn't. It was at the end of a 50-minute jaunt. My face looked like the beetroot red of your T-shirt.
You be kind to my friend Kate Bates. Last week we were talking about comebacks. Just saying. Got on the bike pretty quickly after that conversation.
They're not related.
They're not?
No, I haven't ridden my bike meaningfully other than a wee commute.
Yeah.
Since May.
That's
bit of a shocker.
Okay. And how'd you go? You felt all right? Got in there?
Look, I had the Chicks Who Ride Bikes community, like a community ride on Zwift, helping me and supporting me.
Oh, how good.
So I think without that it might have been a more intense 50 minutes of convincing myself.
Hey, good on you for getting back on the bike.
I have enough of an ego to make it through that, you know. But no, it was good.
Okay.
So remember a couple of weeks ago we spoke about racing up Wollonga Hill wearing T-Rex suits?
Yeah.
I'm just getting the training in.
You're committing to that costume.
Yeah.
Great.
Yep.
Great. I was thinking more you and AVV pairing up for like a gravel sort of, exhibition, a weekend.
Not off the cards.
Good.
I mean,
That's all I need to know.
Idea.
That's fantastic. It's good to see you back on the bike. It has been a big week on the Wheelhouse podcast. What are we up to now? 64,000 episodes, I believe. And it's been a massive, massive week. I'm a little bit sad, I'm going to say right off the bat.
Oh. Okay.
A lot of teams lost on the weekend, not in bike racing, but in other sports, and I'm a little bit sad about that. I'm very grateful to you for not rubbing it in just yet, though.
Oh, mate, it's been a very tough week in the Bates-Merksey household.
Merksey especially, but he's got a few reasons.
I'm a Parramatta fan, so for me, not as much skin off my nose. But for Merksey, he lost Peter Sagan to retirement, and then two Brisbane teams scuppered in their grand final.
Sagan Peter.
It's been Monday morning was messy. I mean, lucky it was a public holiday, so he didn't have to, spring out of bed with a spring in his step. I really didn't.
He busied himself building his Zwift setup.
He did, exactly.
That's amazing. I just wanted to quickly, before we get into it, say a very big hello to the Couchies out there as well. Now, we are all about balance and fact, mostly. On the Wheelhouse podcast, and we made an errant claim last week as to the origins of the couch peloton. And we've been corrected, and I'm very happy about that. So by the people, for the people, and may it live on forevermore. It's lovely to be acknowledged by the wonderful CP.
Yeah, hashtag couch peloton.
Go the Couchies.
Go the Couchies.
That was awesome.
I do a lot of cycling viewing on the couch these days. Wow. So, I can see that organic growth and transition happening.
I reckon they'd be happy to have you in the peloton just quietly. Yes. We say it every week on the Wheelhouse podcast, but it has been a massive, massive week in the world of bikes. You get those emails, those Google Alerts pro cycling emails, because we're diligent journalists.
Makes
we get
the rundown easier.
Oh, mate, my email's been going absolutely apeshit. Ding, 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 ding. All right, I get it. It's another Google Alert pro cycling. There's so much news happening. So we're going to unpack the final races of the season, a bit of some more curiosities around gravel, an hour record. I love it when there's an hour record in the offing. That's always exciting. But the biggest issue, and we spoke about it last week, we've called in some help this week to help us unpack this super merger, the story that keeps on developing in the world of cycling, Kate.
Yes. I mean, I pride myself as the Wheelhouse cycling expert.
Yes.
This is a big topic. Call it a merger, call it a takeover.
Yep.
Call it whatever you like. I've brought in a little bit of help.
Big guns.
Big guns. I've brought out the big guns. Exactly. Yes. I definitely don't bench press enough to be the big guns on my own. Yeah. We have got Olympian, Commonwealth Games champion, incredible athlete Chloe Hosking joining us. Chloe, incredible to have you here. Joel, she's not just a champion cyclist, but she's an incredible advocate for athletes. She's on her way to a law degree and a budding career in sports law, which is incredible and very relevant to this topic. And you know what? In her days, hasn't shied away from an opinion. Welcome, Chloe. Thanks for joining us in the Wheelhouse.
Hi, I'm, I think you say long-time listener, first-time attendee or guest.
Yeah.
Look, I'll lead right away with an opinion, and I wouldn't call it a merger or a takeover. If what is proposed happens, I would call it a bloodbath.
Ooh.
So if you haven't seen the news, if you've been off on another planet, which is fine as well, it's Jumbo-Visma-Soudal-Quickstep, the bloodbath. It's basically broken the internet. Whispers have become shouts, have continued to snowball. I'm very happy to have Chloe. Just quickly, busy lady, Chloe. Do you sleep? You're making the rest of us look bad with all of your many pursuits.
Pretty glad we had a long weekend just recently. 'Cause I did take some time to catch up on my sleep.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, look, I mean, I'm most concerned, Joel, about what colours Wout van Aert is going to be in. I mean, I know this is a serious topic, but let's get down to the really important things. Now, the one thing I didn't mention in Chloe's intro, well, not the one, but one of the things, also got a bike brand, Hosking. Look, I'm just putting two and two together. Is this an opportunity, Chloe, for like a new team, new bike sponsor maybe? I'm just throwing it out there.
I love it.
I'd love to see them on Hosking bikes.
The Hoscos.
Yes.
Yeah.
Look, we're not opposed to it, but we champion women, and so far it seems to be affecting the men's teams.
Yeah, well, we do need to talk about where the women fit into all of this.
Yep.
So bloodbath. I think we can safely say then, Chloe, that you think this is a bad thing.
I mean, absolutely. It's two major World Tour teams. The maximum number of riders that World Tour teams can have is 27, and I'm fairly sure that both these teams meet that number. So immediately you've got 27 riders out of jobs. Not to mention the staff, and with teams that are this size, there's staff in excess of 70. So the amount of people that can be impacted by this is enormous, and that it's happening in October is terrible for the sport and for the economy of the sport, and particularly, for the athletes and the staff.
Chloe, it's obviously close to the bone for so many involved, and we've seen some rider reactions already as well. We had Van Wilder, obviously. It's been a difficult week for all of us. I dedicate this week to my teammates. This win, he won at Tre Valley Varasini, said that. I dedicate it to my teammates. It's been difficult. This victory is for them and the staff to show them all that we don't agree with this shit. Now that's not the athlete line of, what happens will happen, and we'll just concentrate on the next pedal stroke and worry about next week. It's not. It's right out there. And it's strong words. You've been on the wrong end of this stick when it comes to contract renewal. You understand the nuance and the implication of negotiation, the impact it can have. And I guess the short version of this is, what about the athletes? What are we thinking? Where to for them now?
I think that his comment in his post-race interview just shows how little consultation there has been. Contracts these days are signed by riders in March, April, May, June. They're not signed in October. These riders would have thought that they had their season set up for the next years, and all of a sudden they're left in the lurch with the very real possibility of not having employment for the coming years. And this is a very similar situation to what I found myself in last year with the collapse of B&B, and the athletes were the last ones to know what was going on. So it's really disappointing to see that there's still so little communication, and athletes are continuing to find themselves in this situation, and nothing is being done to fix it.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, isn't it, to think that the athletes are the last to know.
Unbelievable.
Chloe, for ages there's been this rumour about Remco going to Ineos, and, a lot coming back from the Soudal mob saying, he's got a long-term contract and that'll never happen. Reflecting back on that, it's a bit different with this new information. Do you think perhaps some of the athletes have known and have had the ability, maybe the top athletes, to go and look, and maybe it's kind of the bottom half of the roster that have been left, or do you think it's all of them?
I mean, that's often the case, that the top athletes are not the ones that are affected when these situations occur. It's the riders that are on minimum salary or just above minimum salary that are the most heavily impacted. But I don't think that should make people care less. And, I was speaking with somebody about it recently. Remco is going to go to the Tour de France and win however many stages, but he relies on those athletes that are going to be impacted by this situation to help him win those stages. So it's really the riders need to come together to understand that as a group, they're much more powerful than acting alone.
On the Wheelhouse podcast, strong words from Chloe Hosking, Australian cycling hero, very fast on the track, Olympian, Commonwealth Games athlete, even faster between the ears, helping us understand the super merger, or, as Chloe so deftly put it, the super bloodbath.
I like it. I think we're going to run with that.
We've stolen that, Chloe. Just sorry. We didn't ask you, but that's okay. Let's look at the UCI. So the governing body, we talk about them a bit. You'd be surprised, Chloe. Kate's memorised the UCI handbook.
Yeah, I mean, can I just add, it's usually not favourable.
No, it's not.
But they're getting a mention.
But, it would be remiss not to ask. Their statement has basically come out saying, all standing contracts with riders and staffers must be met. Any World Tour vacancy created by a bloodbath, your words, would see second-tier pro team squad receiving extra invitations to the top races on the World Tour calendar, etc., etc. Chloe, the question is basically, are they doing enough? Are they showing strong leadership at a time when the sport really, really needs to see it?
The short answer is, I think, no. My contract hasn't been honoured that I signed for last year with B&B Hotels, and there is a number of athletes that haven't had their contract honoured, and the UCI has done nothing. We're currently going through compensation through the French social welfare system to try and get some money from the team that didn't honour our contracts. There's very few rules and regulations that the UCI implement that protect athletes. So ultimately, we know that it's not the teams that are going to come out of this the wrong side as the athletes, and the UCI doesn't do enough to protect them.
Yeah, it's interesting, Chloe, around that. I mean, you had an interesting perspective both as an athlete, having gone through the mess of it, also with your legal brain. But another aspect for me, we've been out there. We know that there's quite different cultural kind of backgrounds between a team that calls themselves the Wolfpack versus what we now know as Jumbo-Visma, but have been Rabobank. Like, culturally, I don't even see how on earth this is going to come together. Can you imagine when you were racing if, one of the Italian teams merged with one of the Dutch teams or with High Road or something? There's not a problem with either teams, but together?
Yep.
It's a bit of an odd one.
It is very strange, and I guess you look at the owner of Soudal-Quickstep, and he is often in the media for not the right reasons. So I'm sort of hopeful in the back of my head that maybe this is just another publicity stunt from him, because at the end of the day, nothing has been confirmed yet. So I am hopeful that it doesn't escalate to the point where two teams do come together, but who knows?
Chloe, you referred to an elephant who's frequently in the wheelhouse bunker, Patrick Lefevre. Now, Kate Bates isn't, I wouldn't say a super fan of Lefevre. It sounds like you're maybe not on the Christmas card list either, Chloe Hosking, just confirming that. Look, we're not devastated, to be honest, to see him potentially step back. But why is he? Why is he? He's showing so much ego, so much need to be noticed, so much need to be the headline or the one creating the headline. So why?
I think we'd need a few psychologists to delve into this question. I really don't understand. And as I said, he's often in the cycling headlines for the wrong reason, and has never been a strong champion of female cycling and women's sport in general. So I'm with Kate. I'm on this one.
I think it's a good no Christmas card list to be on.
I'm
just
there
quietly.
too. Don't you worry.
Yeah. It's Chloe. Lots of chat about the fellas. What about the ladies? We've got a really high-profile women's Jumbo-Visma team. The women's team on the Soudal side is at a lower tier. It's a little bit different. But do we know what's going to happen to the likes of Marianne Vos or Anna Henderson? These are big names in the sport. It's not a small team.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there hasn't been a lot of focus on the two women's teams that will potentially be affected, which
How
again
very
is disappointing.
cycling, right? But not a surprise.
When BMB was collapsing. There seemed to be a lot of focus on the Mark Cavendishes and the Pierre Rollins who were going to be affected. Yeah. But, I also didn't get a contract. So I do think that they're quite separate, luckily, the organisations. So hopefully that the women's team will be able to continue and not impact what would be 30 to 40 riders of the women's peloton. That would be devastating for them. And also, some of the things that have been thrown out in the media about why this merger might be happening is financial reasons, and women's teams are cost significantly less to run. So that might be a factor playing in the women's favour to not be so heavily impacted.
Got a spare thought for the fans of this sort of rigmarole? We spoke about mergers last week and touched on a couple in different sports and how incredibly alienating they can be for fans. There's no sort of regard for that in these processes whatsoever. It seems to you that Soudal, have they just tossed it in here, Chloe? Have they thrown in the towel? Have they given up?
And it really seems like that. I did see just something say that only 6 riders from Soudal would be carried across. So that's not really a merger. But you also have to question the impact this has on the competition of cycling. They're 2 massive teams, and if you're taking one of them away, it's going to impact on the entertainment value for the people watching at home if it's just one less team competing.
Yeah, I mean, we could look on the a bit of silver lining because I'm pretty excited. Rumour has it, Chloe, I mean, how many rumours are there, right? But the most current rumour is that Roglic is headed to Bora with Jai Hindley, the Aussie. Yeah, come on now. That excites me.
Yeah. Oh, we love that.
Remco going to Ineos.
Sticky tape man.
That excites me.
And the hind.
Yeah. But it does ask the bigger question. I mean, does this really reflect on the state of cycling? Because if the 2 biggest teams can't make it work and contracts essentially mean nothing, I mean, how can the riders possibly sleep well at night knowing that on any given day their contract is worthless? It's so nice. Signed for 5 years.
Yeah.
We talk about how good that is for the sport and futures. But are we essentially saying, Chloe, that means nothing? That their contracts are worthless?
Sorry to cut you off, Kate. I think we touched on it. There's a real lack of leadership, both from the governing body, from the athletes taking responsibility for their careers and speaking out when things aren't right, and from the unions that are meant to represent them. And it's really disappointing. And when I did feel a few years we were getting some great momentum around cycling. We saw it with the Netflix documentary. There should be so many good things propelling it forward, and then it's off season after off season, like just an axe coming in and being like, no. So yeah, it's really disappointing.
It's well said. I think that I'm glad you brought up the doco there, because Unchained gave us, as casual cycling fans, got this lens inside a team dynamic. It was such a big part of that doco, was showing how this actually works and how, as you said earlier, it doesn't matter what rank you have in the team, you still play an important role. And then things like this just completely erode that and completely dip into the I guess the interest and the acclaim that we're giving this sport. It's just so badly managed.
It is. I mean, the optics are pretty funny though, right? Because they made this big deal, Jumbo, about releasing Roglic from his contract. He's asked for a transfer. We've allowed him to do that, almost making themselves out to be the good guys. The contract's essentially useless.
And you guys would be able to speak to this. You know, it doesn't matter what your line of work is. If you go to work on a Monday morning and they say to you, there's no guarantee that you're going to be here by Wednesday this week, the rug might come out from under your feet. How can you possibly focus and do your best and compete at your heartiest for that team? I defer to you two athletes. Like, is it even possible? Oh. It erodes the quality of the sport, the quality of the competition, the quality of the output, and the quality of the product.
Absolutely. And I think it goes to, we actually saw this week a rider who I raced with on Trek Segafredo announce his retirement. He's young, 25, but one of the reasons he cited was the stress of chasing contracts. And I think it does go to the longevity of athletes' careers. It's a really stressful environment to operate in nonstop. And it's not healthy. So, I mean, Kate, I'm sure you have your own experiences. I've had many, and I've been very loud about them, and it wasn't enjoyable.
No, and I mean, I think that in my career, we didn't have a lot of athlete representation, and contracts, you often took a lot less than you thought you were worth, and worse circumstances because you were just desperate to get it over the line.
Yeah.
Spare a thought for the athlete managers here. They're working for their money this season, but I think that we need a little bit more of that. Listen, Chloe, I know that you're finishing off your uni degree. I like to study up on things too. So what I've done is I've done a bit of a SWOT analysis.
Hang
on,
is this one of your optimistic SWOT analysis or silver lining
kind of,
SWOT?
It is,
okay,
yeah.
Yep.
So for our strengths, I figure big talent pool.
Great.
Right? Lots of financial resources.
Great.
Lots of experience. Better for the sponsors, right? I mean, the problem with the strength part is that there are weaknesses for riders. Right? Because it means there's less resources to go. Anyway, I can see a potential ego clash here. We know where Primoz is going. We think Remco's on the move. What about Wout van Aert? What about Vingegaard? What about Sepp Kuss?
Yeah.
I mean, this is potentially, what we just saw play out at the Vuelta.
Yeah.
Could be good TV.
And some big bruising egos, because there's some massive names that you've named there. They're not all fitting.
I mean, some opportunities. They could dominate. I mean, although, is that really an opportunity?
But you said, we spoke about this, we don't want a super team.
They dominate anyway. I know, that annoys us. And then, look, the threats I came up with, I mean, they're pretty boring, really. External criticism, I think that's a big threat.
I can't see where that would be coming from.
Management, like an overbearing management, some regulatory hurdles. And we've discussed this, and I think Chloe hit the nail on the head. There isn't strong leadership from the UCI.
Yeah.
So there aren't as many regulatory hurdles as there should be.
Is this a line in the sand? Because we say this so often about something this gobsmackingly bullshittery will surely prompt some sort of overhaul, some sort of adjustment, some sort of modification to regulation and framework around it. Is that going to happen here, Chloe? Is the UCI going to go?
It doesn't affect the UCI. Like, what is the incentive for them to do anything, actually? There's no money out of their pockets. They're actually keeping the World Tour license. I'm sure they're not going to refund that money to whichever of the teams doesn't keep the World Tour license, and they're not going to issue it to anyone else. So until probably they sell it to another team next year. So I don't see where the incentive for the UCI to regulate comes from. It's instead from the athlete's responsibility to say, this is not good enough. You need us to have a sport. Without us, you have nothing. And right now that's not coming because there's too much stress around, do I have a job tomorrow?
Yeah, well said. And the integrity of the sport itself.
In my early days, with not a lot of money in the contract, I can say that I ate plain pasta and plain rice with an egg on top of it for more dinners than
sounds like
would like to recall.
It's straight out of the Patrick Lefevre cookbook, that one.
It is. But, I was young, no family, didn't have to pay rent.
Yep.
Like, the stresses are real. So you can understand why maybe the athletes aren't able to take the power that really they should have.
Yeah. That's always the thing, isn't it? It's always the sort of they're kind of trapped in a sense. Their livelihoods at stake.
Well, look, we're on the shit list from the UCI anyway. We may as well continue to say how we feel, Joel, because we're not getting a Christmas card from them.
Well, you know what?
Either.
If Chloe Hosking thinks it and says it, I'm happy
We're
with
on board.
that. Chloe, really appreciate you taking the time to come on and help us understand. And you also said a few lovely words, which we will add to our collection of regulatory shit canning and whatnot.
Yes.
So we very much appreciate it.
Yes.
No,
Bloodbath,
thank
that's
you.
our new.
Yeah.
I think
That's
my
our new
Christmas
word.
card list, or who I'm receiving Christmas cards from, is equally short.
A badge of honour. I reckon a badge of honour.
So look, we'll continue to follow, but all we can do is hope. All we can do is hope.
All we
that
can
it's,
do is hope.
at
And,
this
you know,
stage.
if there is a bloodbath of sorts, I mean, maybe they can at least be on nice bikes.
What a name for a team.
Hosking.
The Bloodbathers.
Oh, the Bloodbathers.
Yeah,
oh,
there you go.
Gosh. Maybe
Thanks,
we can be a sleeve sponsor, Joel.
There you go. Thank you so much, Chloe Hosking.
Come back soon.
Yeah. Well done sliding into the DMs there.
I did. I totally did. I
You
totally
teased
slid
it
into
last
the
week.
DMs.
Last week you said, I'm going to get Chloe Hosking. I said, ha!
It's-
You are not!
Well, since she launched the bike brand,
Yeah.
and we were really curious about the tech specs,
Yeah.
we've been kind of angling for it. So
Yeah, what a legend. So,
Yeah, she's
so
got a-
articulated beautifully and gave some insight that we were so desperately craving on this ridiculous
yes.
issue.
she's-
Anyway, it's the Wheelhouse podcast. You were hearing from Chloe Hosking, Olympian, Commonwealth Games. What else? What doesn't she do? She's a bike brand owner. She's studying to be a lawyer. Just quit making us look bad,
all
Chloe.
around,
Anyway,
all around big hitter.
I'm Joel Spreadborough. This is Kate Bates. Let's get on with it. There's a few other things that we'd love to discuss. Now, I have been excited about a number of things on this podcast.
Tell
in-
me
in
about them,
my,
Joel.
My growing love of the sport. Do you want me to list them? Because we'll be here all day. But like, one of them has been intense speed over a 60-minute period, and a few attempts that have happened for the hour record.
Captured your imagination.
I love it. I love it because one thing I do, you jump on an exercise bike and you do a 20-minute sprint session where you have to do 30-second sprints and then 45 off, whatever. Absolutely gassed about halfway through it. It goes for 20 minutes. They're doing that for an hour and they're not having rests in between, Kate.
It's pretty solid.
It's pretty solid.
We've got a Vittoria Bussi.
Fort Knox.
Is that what you're talking about? She's
Yeah.
stepping up again.
It's fantastic.
It's her third go at it.
That's 3 hours of the most intense pain of someone's
And that's
life.
just the racing element. But she had to, it's pretty cool. She crowdfunded
Yep.
to get this one done. Headed back to Mexico. I've written down for you, Joel, the name of the velodrome.
Have you?
Yeah. How are you going to go with that?
She's at Aguascientes.
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty close.
Yeah, I'm a bit
there's
better
a
with
squirt
Spanish.
in there a
and-
bit.
Yeah, a little bit better.
Well, it's at 1,800 metres, and that's why they go there, because the air's thin, right?
Yeah,
So it's
okay,
fast.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
But I've got an idea.
Yeah.
You know when the boxers, like they're, heavyweight champion or whatnot, and they have to hand over the belt, there's got
Yes.
to be a title fight.
Yep.
I'm thinking maybe we could jazz it up a bit and have a bit of a title fight.
Okay.
Like both on the track at the same time.
Wow.
What do you think? Like greyhound racing, chasing each other.
Yeah. What are we chasing like
They're,
a
well,
rabbit
they're
or?
both the greyhound and the fake rabbit all at
Oh,
once. Do you
okay.
see?
So they're just yeah.
Yeah, what
It's
do you
like
think?
kind of chasing a tail, kind of.
Yes,
thinking.
yes.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Oh, sign
Good
me up.
concept.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Really clear
Well,
and
it's,
yeah.
Now, I went, I love a good deep dive.
Yep.
And I found some bit random facts that surprised me.
Yep.
Argentina. Look, they've had some great track cyclists, but, like a few, not a lot. How many velodromes do you reckon there are in Argentina?
26.
32.
Oh, wow.
It's a lot. The only two countries with more velodromes, I'm very proud to say, is
Yep.
Australia.
Yep.
We've got 65 in use, I might add, in use,
Okay.
not counting the ones that are no longer in use. But the top of the list, Japan.
How many in Japan?
67.
67 velodromes.
Yes.
So they just have velodromes for...
Well, they do all the
for
Keirin
fun.
racing. So I knew that track racing and Keirin racing is big in Japan.
Yeah.
But I don't think I realised
Is that big?
67.
Wow.
That's impressive. And an honourable mention to India, by the way, because they've got 15 velodromes there.
Okay.
They've actually been talking about, this big movement from India with their track cyclists and how we need to watch out for them. They've got a couple of great track cyclists named Ronaldo and David Beckham, not even kidding.
Yeah.
Scott and I commentated on them at the Commonwealth Games.
Yeah, remember Beckham
and
punching above?
I actually at first thought that I'd written my notes wrong. But they've been going great guns at the Asian Games, so they're on the up and up, 15 velodromes. Anyway, look, that was a bit of a random move from the hour record.
No, that's fine. How many in Brisbane? I just ask?
There's one on the Gold Coast. There's obviously 2 out at Chandler in Brisbane, the Anime's Velodrome and the old Commonwealth Games one.
Jeez.
I don't know. I mean, I'd be willing to say there's probably 10 to 15 in Queensland.
Didn't I put you on the spot there?
Some regional ones, yeah.
I think the Anime's one, though, sort of counts for like 10 anywhere
It should.
else, so
it totally
that boosts
should.
our numbers.
Yeah, look, good luck to Vittoria Bussi.
Yeah.
I think it's a slightly tough situation for Ellen Van Dijk, who's the current record holder, because she's out on maternity leave. Oh. So, if we were to implement one of these box off, like title fights.
Tail chases.
It wouldn't work.
She'll be back.
She went 49.25 kilometres in an hour.
That. She was like 748 metres short of the 50
So
mark.
I think Bussi's saying, like, hold my beer, I'm going for 50.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Oh, look, good luck to her.
Yeah.
Sucker for punishment.
Yes.
I didn't do it. I'm going to come back and do it a 4th time.
Yeah.
Right. That's awesome. Ellen Van Dijk, the Trident.
Yeah, she's a Trident on her own.
I had a crossover thought. We were talking about athletes coming together.
Yes.
Matthew Van den Dijk.
Van den Dijk.
Anyway.
Okay. Yeah.
Tiff Cromwell has sort of got stuff to celebrate this week as well, Catherine.
Well, she does. She crossed the line first.
Yep.
She won a race, a gravel race.
Yep.
It was the European Championships.
It was, okay, it wasn't that cross the line, yeah, oh wait, they finished 3 kilometres ago kind of scenario.
No. She did win the race.
Okay.
But it was the European Championships, and so it raised a few eyebrows, given she's Australian. But actually, what they did is they allowed it to be an open race, so anybody could enter. The more the merrier, but the first European to win became European champion. So that went to Lorena Vibes.
Yep.
Right?
She's at it again.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't actually think that gravel is a new discipline. I think gravel is what the roadies do when they're done doing the road.
We could do
for the season.
mad skids in the gravel.
Yes. So Vibes is European champion, but Tiff Cromwell clearly on form, which is great because remembering that Gravel Worlds are on the 17th of October, we'll have to dive into that a bit more next week. But people are getting a bit cray-cray over the gravel.
Well,
they're really enjoying it.
Yeah.
So
it's good to watch.
It's a good concept.
Yeah, it's fraught, it's fast, it's
it
furious. It's fantastic. Well done, Tiff, our favourite Europe Australian. Now, Velo, you wanted to talk about this because it's a superstitious sport, like many
it
elite
is.
sports.
Yes.
Very, very superstitious. Were you superstitious?
I was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Big time?
Fairly. I had this beautiful blue ribbon. My sister and I both had one that we would fold up and place on our hip inside our skin suit before we raced.
That's nice. What was the ribbon?
It was just like an aqua-coloured ribbon.
Oh, okay.
And I can't even remember where it came from, but it became this thing. And if the ribbon was lost, that was bad.
Oh, so it was like a sibling connection.
Yes.
You were in contact via the ribbon.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But did you ever lose it before the race?
No, I lost it at the end of my career.
Well, you're going to need to find it before the comeback.
No, I think it was like, it had its day. It had done its job.
Do you think you'll have a new superstition when you make
for
your
the
elite
comeback?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. But I'll let you know when and if.
Happy to workshop a few if you like.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Velo have a new segment, basically a horoscope for cyclists who want to say we want to find a spot for our auras in the stars. I can't believe I'm asking this, but that's a thing.
It is.
That happens.
Yeah. Well, Joel, we can do a live reading. What's your star sign?
I'm a Scorpio.
Scorpio. I should have known that. All right. Are you ready?
Born ready.
Your moon and everything else.
Ooh, sorry.
By the way, I haven't read this yet.
Haven't you?
This
Oh,
is
great.
fun. Your moon and everything else is vibrating. Take a Zumba class and really engage in it.
Uh-huh.
Look at you. Expect news about a possible grandchild, or maybe a friend is sending you a gravel bike for free.
Oh, wow. That I like.
Yeah.
I could live with that last one.
Yeah. The grandchild thing's
I
a
don't
little
have
bit
kids,
weird.
so that's
Wait,
odd,
well,
but, yeah.
I think given your age. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
Buy fireworks and store them in the basement for the future.
Yeah, tick. Done that.
Righto. Okay.
I
So
haven't really.
I don't know. I don't know. Like, is this really helping us align our auras? I don't know. Mine is keep influential people close.
Okay.
So we're doing that.
Yep.
I've got you and Merksy.
Chloe.
Done.
Yep.
Plan short rides that involve coffee. I mean, I live by that. And pastries. Hello now.
Yep.
Don't buy a new set of wheels.
Don't.
I feel. Hold on.
What?
I'm just a bit confused. Those two don't really align, do they?
It
Like,
doesn't
mine's
align
quite
with your,
cool.
like,
Yours,
your passion.
but yours is also.
Yeah,
like,
Zumba. Yeah, bring it.
like,
Never
has
done
this-
Zumba in my life.
Are they employing multiple people to write these? It doesn't seem like the same person has authored
Yeah.
those two.
It feels like it's 2 barrels full of horoscopes and they just do a lucky dip. And
this is just
throw
a
'em in there.
weekly one, Joel. So
Okay.
we can check in on a week. I don't even know if we're going to check in on a weekly basis.
Merksy has something on this.
We certainly won't check in on a weekly basis.
He's just going to nip that one in the bud. Look, fair enough.
I'm trying to get creative here, Joel.
You're
I
big
think,
on star signs, though.
Yeah.
Am I? Again, I'm doing this live and loud, and I apologise if I'm overstepping, but horoscopic ink, I believe,
I
is
do.
part of your life.
I do. I have a tourist tattoo on my back.
Okay.
Mercy.
Can we see it?
Oh,
I thought you
I
were
think
just gonna,
that's overstepping.
I thought he was just going to confirm that, yes, can
No.
confirm.
We don't need to see it, but I can tell you that if I had my time again, I probably wouldn't get it done again.
No. I'd get
No.
my Darth Vader tattoo 100 times over. Yeah,
I'm sure you would.
I would.
Yes. That is your star sign.
Yes,
More accurate.
more accurately.
Yep.
Yeah, that and the soul bird, the kookaburra, because it's loud and annoying.
But not
It's my
that
soul
weird
bird.
horoscope I just read
No,
you.
I'll get a
Okay.
kookaburra and Vader. I'll be
All right.
happy.
All right. Well, I'll take that out of the bookmarks for next week's rundown then.
Yeah. Kate,
All right.
it says only just begun, but then it's over for Sagan. Let's have an
Oh.
ode to Sagan Peter.
Spare a thought
Merksy,
for
turn your mic
Merksy.
off, mate.
Yeah.
You go for a nice walk, have a cup of tea, okay? We don't want to upset you here, but final race. Final race, Tour de Vendée, final chapter. 121 victories for Peter Sagan.
Yeah, not bad.
He went all right.
He went all
A
right.
couple of world championships, a couple of stage wins.
Well,
on the
3 on
tour.
the trot.
Yeah, just pulling them out for fun at one point. Very influential rider, I think. He's kind of like the cool guy on the bus,
He totally is.
middle back seat, and he decides who gets to sit on the back seat with him.
He totally is. He changed the sport insofar as he became a beacon for personal sponsors
Yeah.
who then followed him around.
Mm-hmm.
So Specialised is a great example. He changes teams. The bike, changes teams with him because it's all about Peter Sagan. Like
Yep.
he's got to be one of the biggest contracts ever in cycling in terms of the riders around him. Like his worth was so much more than the incredible victories.
Yeah.
But it was more about the personality. It's the first Tour de France I covered with SBS was his first tour stage win, and he won stage 2. It started in Liège that year, and he beat the likes of Mark Cavendish and Edvard Boasson-Hagen, who at the time was a pretty big hitter.
Yep.
And he also won stage 3 the next day and did the Forrest Gump Running Man
that's
kind
right,
of
yeah.
victory. And all of a sudden he burst onto the scene. He was only 22 and he made it really clear that he was not just here for a short time, but was
Yep.
going to have a big footprint. But the fans, the Slovakian fans that came to follow him around, it's like they said, hold my beer
Yeah.
to the sports fans who we thought were cool, the cycling fans. They were incredible, noisy and boisterous, and they would almost rock the bus back and forth with their antics and their celebration of what he did. It was so cool.
Encouraged by his charisma. He
Yes.
brought that
They
energy
fed
to
into
the
each
sport,
other.
for sure.
Well, and he had back then very broken English.
Yeah.
And he would always try and be super articulate in interviews and stuff, but it was almost a little bit amusing, the words he would come out with, but always quite respectful. And,
Yeah.
you know, from day dot, he was like, Mark Cavendish is the absolute best. And to beat him, you have to bring your best.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of respect for the riders around him. Yeah, it's cool. We'll miss him. I think out of respect, we should probably ask Merksy.
For a moment. A magic
For a moment,
Sagan
yeah,
moment.
we need some like da, 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 music for it. Merksy, if you can talk under those tears.
Can you do the music?
Yeah.
And Merksy, you just feel your way in, so go on, take it away, Kate.
It's very emotional, guys. Favourite win was his Roubaix for me. He won Roubaix.
Yes, yep.
But then I love the moment when Bernal won the Tour and he photobombed them when they were getting the champagne photo. When
Yes.
Sagan won the green jersey
Yes.
and he photobombed the
Ineos.
victory sip.
Yeah.
That's
How
that is
very-
excellent.
How very Peter Sagan.
The
Sport will never
scourge
be the
of
same.
team
Yes.
managers everywhere.
Well, and I must say, Merksy purchased a Bora World Champion jersey from Sagan's exploits because he was a fan. We spoke a little earlier about the strong rumour that Sticky Tape Man Roglic might be headed to Bora.
Yeah.
Could we reuse this jersey?
Well, that's
Bora,
up to-
rainbow stripes.
That's
Like,
up
what
to
do you
Merksy.
think?
Good luck.
I hope you wash your hands before you touch that job.
Yeah. Yes.
Merksy, we're still saving up to just have a couple of nights at Sagan Peter Resort and Links at the end of the year.
We are.
Breakfast
Well,
and
it's
clothing.
Merksy's birthday this week,
There's
so
the
you know,
logo.
stay tuned.
Yeah. I love this. Even his rainbows have his logo on them.
Oh, that's because he's so cool.
Yeah, it is so
It's
cool.
very clever, his logo. It's a P and an S, and the P's turned on its side.
But, you know,
Do you
yeah,
see what
it
he's done
is.
there?
I like what he's done, but it's also at the top. It's above Bora. It's above the rainbows. It's above
Oh,
everything else.
yeah.
It is at the top.
Yeah, not on the back, just on the sneaky back pocket, but right up top and centre.
It's not too late. You can go and stay in the Peter Sagan wing, stare out the Peter Sagan window, and recollect some of my many moments.
Good accent there, Joel.
That's terrible, but what an incredible journey. Another one, if we will, moving on, letting Merksy sort of come to terms with what's happening there. We love Peter Sagan. He's coming on the show. Can't guarantee when or if, but
We've got a request in with his management.
slid in. Rach Nayland, our friend of the podcast.
Yes.
She, unlike Peter Sagan, she is aware of the podcast.
She's a genuine friend of the podcast.
Has helped us, has thrown us a few solids and whatnot. And another bloody impressive ride.
Yes.
As in her career in this instance.
It
being the
has.
ride.
She has bowed out. She's ridden her last race at Tre Valericen.
She's punched her last ticket.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, you know, the Australian side of the sport in particular will miss her. She's
Big
been a
time.
real influence. 2012, she got a silver medal at the World Championships in Valkenburg, which was just incredible watching her sprint to that. And I was not commentating on it. I was in the SBS studio watching it live and doing the remarks around it.
Yep.
And it was my first moment as a broadcaster getting so excited.
Did you lose your shit?
I pretty much did, yeah.
Can you I'm
And that
sorry
was
to put you on the
so
spot,
cool.
but can you? Can you just give us 10
I don't know
seconds?
if I can recreate it, I'll be honest, but I was just beside myself. And I look back at that and I remember the emotion, and her achieving that took me back to my days racing.
Yeah.
And it becomes so personal. It was just so cool.
That's amazing.
And it kind of gave Australian women's cycling the revival that it needed. The kick in the pants, like, we've got this.
Yeah.
And Spratty, it was after that Spratty really came into her own, and I think she's really led a generation in that way.
That's the key. That's the key point, isn't it?
Yes.
That real sort of setting that marker.
It is.
And look
Well,
what's followed.
And at the Cadel Evans Great Ocean Road Race in 2015,
Yeah.
she slayed it and just showed what an incredible talent she was. She does hold, I think it's got to be the record for the last 3 or 4 years of running the most top 10s without being on the podium.
Yep.
Always there or thereabouts.
Yep.
That's impressive because she was a rider that no matter what she had done recently, you could never discount her. She was always on a one-to-watch list.
That's awesome.
She's an Olympian. She's a Com Games rider. Big career. So good on her and good luck to the transition.
Geez, eventful.
Yeah.
Trey Valley Varecine.
It was.
There,
It
wasn't
was.
Yeah.
Lots
300 to
of,
go. Kate Bates said Rachel Naylor looking like she's sitting pretty comfortable in fifth there. Yeah, look, she's had a pretty good day. And oh my God, Naylor's come out. Oh my God, Silver! Ah! Ah! Kate,
That's
please.
it. That's it. Where did you find that clip? Well, the race was won by Leanna Lippert.
Yep.
And see, the way we're going to connect these dots, Joel, is she won the Cadell Evans Great Ocean Road Race as well.
You knew it.
You feeling me? You
I
got
knew
it?
there was a join the dot.
Our favourite Danish rider, Cecily Utra-Bludvik, she got second. Alyssa Balsamo, she got third.
Usual
so big
suspects.
names.
Yeah, big time.
Finishing the season off well.
Catherine Bates, this is the Wheelhouse Podcast. My name is Joel Spreadborough. You have a real penchant for coming up with excellent content, and one of the things that you love more than anything is the silly segment.
I'm trialling a few. I think fair to say that there's been a nail put in the horoscope
You've
one.
got
But all right.
Look, we'll workshop. But would you like some music, or do you
The
just want-
Wheel of Misfortune. See what I've done there? The wheel, like wheel.
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah. Wait. Whoa, no, now I get it. Yeah.
Well, what we've got on the Wheel of Misfortune this week, if I can keep a straight face, at Trey, it was not at Trey Val.
Is the music disturbing you?
I'm sorry. The music
Okay,
is
all right.
really throwing me. No,
All right.
at the Tour de Vendée, which was Peter Sagan's last race, Arnaud Delis, the Belgian rider,
Yeah.
he won, Joel. He won not very convincingly, but 20 metres before the line, it looked like he'd win by a couple of lengths. And then calamity struck.
Yeah.
The wheels of misfortune struck.
Are always turning.
And he pulled his foot out of the pedal, couldn't get it back in, couldn't pedal anymore to the line, sprint finish.
Yeah.
The whole peloton racing behind him. He was so far ahead that he still bloody won.
It's a good 50 metres plus with the busted
Amazing.
cleat.
Now,
Okay.
yeah, so he busted his cleat, so that's why he couldn't get his foot back in. Because if you watch the footage, you're like, what is he doing?
Yeah, Merksy.
You sure it wasn't a Shimano group set issue?
Oh, that's actually, there's another Wheel of Misfortune.
I'm being cheeky.
I know. Been a big
Did
recall.
they respond to that request for sponsorship email that you sent last week, Merksy? Or
Just fell through.
okay.
Look, I can say a lot of my bikes, actually all of my bikes have Shimano on them,
I'm a
but
SRAM guy myself.
none of which have been recalled. So they've had a recall. Another Wheel of Misfortune. But what do you think? Wheel of Misfortune?
I think it's fantastic.
Like that could have been a shocker.
I think
he
we
made
need
it
to do
happen,
a
but
Wheel of Misfortune on every
yeah,
episode.
okay, all right. So to clarify, Wheel of Misfortune is in, horoscopes out.
Well, the only thing with Wheel, I love the name, great title, but
Yeah.
Arno, like he won, so misfortune became great fortune.
Okay.
So we're just, all good. I think Wheel of Misfortune is fantastic.
It
but-
was really unfortunate what happened.
Yeah. Fortunate fortune.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunate fortune.
We can workshop this
We
one.
can work.
What, you don't want us to
that's a
spend an
tick.
extra 20 minutes
No,
talking
no.
about it now, Merksy?
That's a positive. Like the other one's been poo-pooed.
Yeah, it has.
But, you know.
Mate, the horoscopes had to go.
Yeah,
I'm not
alright.
doing Zumba. It's ridiculous. Anyway, look, like sand in the hourglass, these are the days of our lives.
Yes.
It's been wonderful chatting to you. For those listening on, I was just holding an hourglass.
I
That was
put the
how it
hourglass
was
there
random. Yeah.
in case the segments were running over and you could hourglass me.
I noticed you removed
Yeah.
my Darth Vader helmet so I can't hit it every time you say Wout Van Aert today.
I did.
Too. Yeah,
Well,
good.
it was only once.
This has been a lot of fun. Really appreciated Chloe Hosking's presence today. If you're just tuning in for the first time, like, share, subscribe. If you're not, tell everyone you know. It's a lot
Yeah.
of fun here on the Wheelhouse Podcast. Kate Bates. We'll do it all again before you know it.
We will. Ciao for now.
Ba-boom.
Bye-bye.